G'day guys, Ant from Aussie Beer and Smoke here, and just another Homebrew Wednesday. Been a couple of weeks since I did one. There's just been a lot of stuff going on. Work's been flat out, the wife's overseas, so I haven't had a chance to actually make one in a few weeks, but we're back on schedule now. My camera died, computer was playing up, everything, but we're back now. So before we start, I've got a bottle of my IPA here that you would have seen in one of my previous brewing videos. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to have a look at it. It was Cooper's kit, added some hops, and that's basically it. Very simple kit. So let's pour away. Yeah, like I said, I just had a lot of issues lately, but they're pretty much all rectified now, and everything's hunky-dory. It should be back up to pretty much standard. So let's just let that settle a little bit. Got a great head on it, I'll show you in a second. It smells great. Absolutely love this. I have had it before, it's not my first bottle of it. That's fantastic. And just so you can have a look at it. Really nice head on it. Holds the head pretty well. Probably with the extra hop in there. But really enjoying drinking this beer. Just wanted to talk about a couple of things. I made a couple of little notes so I don't forget when I start rambling. One of the first things I wanted to talk about was IPAs in general. I'm absolutely loving IPA at the moment. I can't stop drinking it. I just put a batch on 3 days ago. I put a recipe down below. We'll see how it turns out. I didn't video because, like I said, my camera was dead. I've actually just picked up a GoPro, so should be able to make some better brewing videos as we go. Pardon me. You can see the head retention, it's not bad. A little bit of lacing, which is good. I'm just going to keep topping it up with the bottle here. So I added grains for the first time in my latest batch of light dry malt extract and 500 grams of dextrose, mainly just to bump that alcohol up a little bit like you will get with an IPA. Hop-wise, I added 100 grams of Simcoe, and I added that 25 minutes. Added 25 minutes left in the boil. I then added 50 grams of Cascade with 10 minutes left. I was going to use Galaxy hops, but I had 50 grams of hops left in the fridge freezer, so I didn't see the point in wasting it or not using it. I'll just use it. But grain wise, I added 250 grams of Crystal 60 and 500 grams of Carapils. So pretty standard, just put some water in, heated the water up to about 75 degrees Celsius. It's about 165, 170 Fahrenheit. I then steeped them for an hour, took them out, brought it to the boil, dry malt extract in, brought it back to the boil, hops in, the Simcoe hops in for 15 minutes, then I put the Cascade in, so 25 minutes in total for the Simcoe, 10 minutes for the Cascade, pulled them out, dextrose, liquid malt extract, water, yeast, job done. Smelled fantastic, so we'll see how it turns out. Like I said, it's my first time using grains, so we'll see how it turns out. Kind of brings me to my next point. Brewing my next batch, I'm not sure on whether I'm looking at doing a porter. So there's a pretty famous porter on YouTube amongst a lot of sort of home brewers like myself, not all grain brewers, just sort of extract home brewing, and it's the CraigTube porter. It was a bit of a chuck it together recipe Craig did, and a lot of people from all over the world got on it and made their own version of it. Pardon me. So I'm thinking of doing that. I've never tried a porter, so I'm not sure how it would actually turn out. I might have to try some. I'll look up some good quality porters that I can get commercially and see if I can get my hands on them. Although, like all commercial beer, it's generally going to be better made at home. The next thing I want to talk about is I'd be interested to hear how some of you guys go with making homebrew in a style that your friends don't necessarily like. So, out of all of my friends, I'm pretty much the only one that's really into that hoppy sort of beer. A lot of my mates are into that sort of European lager, like Heineken, Peroni. None of them brew themselves. Tell what it's hot up here. About 37 degrees today in Sydney, so that's going down really well. Yeah, so they're not really into IPA or pale ale sort of beer with a lot of hop in it. So they've tried my beer and like they do like it. It's a really nice beer, but the problem is it's too hoppy for them. Now, as I've said previously, the reason I got into home brewing was I couldn't get a beer commercially that was hoppy enough for me. So I've started brewing my own and love it. But I'm wondering if I should make a batch that isn't really of my style, but is more my mate's style, and see how they like it. But then, I don't know whether it's, if they're going to have 1 or 2 bottles of it, I may as well just make my own stuff anyway. So I don't know, that's something for me to think about in future. I'm getting my production line, it's still not there, but it's at a point where it can now be there. So I've got 24 more bottles. I would bottle my beer. I don't really have the space or facility to keg. So I've got 24 bottles now. I've got a batch in the fermenter. I've just about run out of IPA. Unfortunately, probably today I will run out. So I'm going to probably be 3 to 4 weeks without homebrew, which I am spewing about. I'll probably have to fork out and buy a nice carton of beer. Not sure what, but spend the money. I'm not going to get some cheap crap that I'm not going to enjoy drinking. Because as you all know, homebrew kind of ruins cheap beer for you. You can't really go back to drinking the cheap commercial crap. But now that I've got the 24, the plan will be, this is in my fermenter now. I usually, give or take the type of beer, 2 weeks in the fermenter. So I put this in on Saturday, so not this Saturday coming, the one after will be when I ferment, when I bottle. Once that's in the bottle, 2 to 3 weeks aging in the bottle, ready to go. But as soon as I bottle it, on the same day, put another batch in. So in theory, by the time they're ready to come out of the bottle, these are going into bottles. By the time I get through the batch that's in the bottle, that batch is there, and I just keep repeating and repeating and repeating. I know that's pretty common sense to all you guys, but it's something I haven't quite got to grips with yet, but I should be right from my next brew in 2 weeks' time, which at the moment is going to be a porter. That could change. I'm looking at something like a cerveza as well. The only recipes I can find on a cerveza is basically your kit and kilo. I know a few of them do it, would say Munton cerveza and 700 grams of dextrose. I get that it's not a malty beer and it's not a hoppy beer. It's just I don't like that, just tin and dextrose. I can't envision that tasting nice, but maybe it's worth just doing and seeing. Wouldn't mind toying with things like adding some lime to it or something initially, so you haven't got to put the lime in the bottle or whatever. But maybe I'll just get the beer down pat first. As you may know, if you watched the other video, and again I'll link it below, I used a liquid yeast last time for this actual beer here. It was a liquid yeast, and my plan was I'm going to spend the money. I think it was about $13 for the liquid yeast, which is a lot. I mean, a sachet of USO 5 is about $3, and I paid $12. So I essentially, if I'm doing 2 batches a month, I just got 2 months worth of yeast in one hit. But the plan was I was going to reuse it. So I was going to wash the yeast, I was going to reuse it, and I'll probably get 3 batches out of that reused yeast. I got lazy. I never did it. I ended up tipping it down the sink. I bottled that beer and I left the trub and that in the bottom of the fermenter for probably about 3 weeks. It was pure laziness. And then by the time I finally got around to it, I was like, I can't be bothered. Down the sink, $3 for USO 5. I don't think I'll ever buy liquid yeast again. It worked really well. I put a clip up at the end of that brewing video. It was going nuts. That fermentation was unbelievable. But reusing it, if you're not reusing it, I don't see why you would buy it for $12 when you can get USO 5 or equivalent for $3. It makes no sense. But I'm lazy, so anything that requires effort, count me out. That's why I do extract brewing and not all grain. I just can't be bothered. I'm too lazy. And I genuinely do actually applaud those guys. I watched on the weekend. I can't remember his name, so I won't give too much detail, but he is an all-grain brewer, and his setup was phenomenal, and the effort he's gone to was unbelievable. He had timers everywhere. Everything was down to the second. He DIY'd a lot of the equipment, and it was just, mate, it was unbelievable. I can't do that. I just can't do it. It's just not happening. I wish I could. I mean, I don't have the space. I live in a block of units. I've got a single car garage and we've got 2 cars. I don't have the space to do it. I will one day, I think. One day I will do an all-grain batch of beer. Mark my words. I will do it. Probably Homebrew 940 will do an all-grain batch. I do want to try some new hops as well. I was trying to find Simcoe at my local homebrew store. I couldn't see it. I mean, it's like, look, a bit like all your shops, but they got the freezer, big double door freezer, massive thing, and it's just rammed with hops. Unbelievable. All different brands, all different types. Unreal how many hops there are in there. And I've only ever tried 3. So next time I'm not going to use, the 3 I've used is Galaxy, Cascade and Simcoe. I'm not using any of them in the next one. I will use something else. Because why not? It's the same with cooking. When I cook food, I'll cook a recipe that I know off the top of my head. Like I know this is how to cook it. And I'll throw something else in this time. I might throw a different herb in. I normally use basil. I might throw thyme. I might, just something like that. I think it's the same. Like I make beef jerky. I make that regularly. I just did a batch on the weekend. And I normally have a recipe in my head, which I'll do a cooking video on one day actually. But it's Worcestershire sauce, soy sauce, a jerk marinade that I buy, garlic powder, brown sugar, marinate it. On the weekend I threw a whole heap of hot sauce in and some chipotle chili powder. Because I just want to give it a bit more kick and see what it's like with a bit more heat in it. And it's fantastic. I'll never do it without it now. It's kind of how I want to brew. Do different things. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. What's the harm? I've spent $30. Yeah, I've spent a case of beer, and it's still going to be beer at the end of the day. If it's not amazing, I'll suck it up and tell everyone that it tastes fantastic. That's pretty much it. Bit of a ramble this one. I've got a couple of things planned for the next one. I've got the next brew coming up. Like I said, I've got the GoPro here, so I'll definitely film that brew itself. I spoke to the local homebrew shop on the weekend when I was there, and he's happy for me to actually do a bit of a film while I'm in there. Not so much of, oh look, this is what the shop's got, because all the shops have got the same stuff, but just with me and the GoPro going through my process of I'll get this, because I generally don't actually plan my brew wholeheartedly until I get there. Like when I went on the weekend to get this stuff for the IPA, I had about 7 or 8 different recipes saved on my phone that I was thinking of, and it was only when I got there I was like, yeah, IPA, I'm going to do it. So maybe I'll do that, do a bit of filming out there. As I said, we'll film the brew. I've got a couple of cooking videos. I know I did say this was going to be a beer and cooking channel, and I've only done beer. I will do some cooking videos. I don't know why I haven't. The weekend I did the brisket. I got halfway through it and thought, I was going to film it. Great, I didn't do it. But now, like I said, I've got the GoPro now. I haven't got to carry the big DSLR around. I can just carry this thing around. I mean, for everyone it's like this big, you know what I mean? It's tiny. Let me just pop it out. I mean, it's camera, full HD, unbelievable. I got it online. It's not a genuine GoPro, it's a GoPro style camera, but when I've tested it, it's full HD. The camera on it's a bit crap if you're taking photos, but full HD video, and that's cost me with a ton of accessories, tripod, everything. I think it was $40. What's a GoPro? 600. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble, so I'll wrap it up there. I guess that's what Homebrew Wednesday is, just rambling about life and beer and food until you run out of things to say. I'll put a few links down below. One to my video of the IPA that I'm drinking now. I'll also link CraigTube. I know most of you would know him anyway, but I've got nothing affiliated with him. He doesn't even know I exist. It's just he's been such a help to me, all his videos. I love watching his stuff. So I'll put a link in so you guys, if you haven't already discovered him. If you don't like his stuff, that's no problem at all. There's no need for any negative comments or anything about it. Everyone likes what they like. They don't like what they don't like. Simple as that. If you don't like it, don't watch it. If you do, watch it. If you've never tried him, have a go. 17 Brew Crew. I'd sign up there. I'm on there myself. Great community. A lot of newcomers as well. I actually find that I've actually helped probably a dozen people so far who are like, a couple of them have seen my videos and have asked questions about things. Why did I do this? Why did I do that? They've had issues. They've actually asked me. I've replied. And one of them came back to me yesterday actually saying, mate, I actually followed your advice on my latest batch, and it's already, I can tell it's a lot better. So, that's great. And that's the whole reason I wanted to do this was I'm new, and I'm not the sort of guy that will just go and chat to some random. So it can be a little bit daunting for people to come out and say, oh, hi, can you help me? And I completely get that. So I want to be the guy. I'm the voice of the people. If you never be worried about it, just ask questions. If someone doesn't want to help you, they won't respond. No one's going to write back and say, leave me alone, mate. I don't want to talk to you. If they're not interested in helping you, they just won't respond. I'll always respond. Oz Beer and Smoke is my name on 17 Brew Crew. I'll put all of my links below: Twitter, Facebook, Brew Crew, everything. I'll put it all below and click on what you like. And have a great day, guys. That's all from me.